Hello, it's James Easley here from the Digital Marketing Bureau, but also I spend most of my time evangelizing about the use of innovation, marketing and technology in the property industry. So I always like to talk about all sort of the new stuff which is out there. And today I'm being very thankfully joined by James from Virtual Walkthrough, which is a piece of technology I was shown actually a while back, and it really interested me in a sort of an area of this whole futuristic look at property viewings and how we're going to view properties in the future. So James, I won't explain too much. Tell me about you and tell me about Virtual Walkthrough, because it's certainly an interesting technology.
Absolutely. So, hi to everybody. We started Virtual Walkthrough 4 years ago. We spent the first 3 years in stealth development. There was myself and 2 other co-founders. The beginning of last year, we took some angel investment, and we launched the company really to sell to the public at MIPIM in 2014. So we spent just over a year now selling to the public. We now have over 150 clients, and we mainly trade in 2 main areas: commercial property and residential property. My background actually is commercial property. I started my life at Cushman & Wakefield straight from school. Didn't go to university. As an office junior, or I think the professional term is T-boy. Worked my way up there. After that, went on to another property company called Ailes, Heath, Buchanan & Neve, where we specialised in sheds and industrial warehouses. And since then, have been working in technology with Virtual Walkthrough till now.
So it's the perfect combination, because I mean, this whole world of real estate tech and prop tech is growing exponentially at the moment. I mean, MIPIM 2014, they must have loved it, because it was only really MIPIM 2015 where suddenly there were all these sort of property tech firms that were really hitting the headlines. So you must have hit the ball running. But let's just sort of go through, I mean, what does Virtual Walkthrough actually do? Let's start with that.
So it does actually what it says on the tin. It's a virtual walkthrough experience. So we take a property, we represent it online for a customer, and it gives that customer complete freedom to navigate through the building. They can judge size, space, dimensions, everything is in high resolution, everything loads in real time, and they've got complete freedom. I can show you very quickly if you'd like.
Yeah, that'd be great, yeah. And it's in 4D, right, if I'm correct? Your camera systems are that advanced that it's actually in 4D resolution?
Yeah. Everything that we create is 4K, yeah.
Sorry, 4K, sorry, there you are. My techie has just gone right out the window.
So here you can see the client's got complete control. We can go right up to the window. Everything is captured using our special Fusion HDR, which gives the client the ability to look out of windows. Quite often you see with this kind of media, white out windows that are washed out.
Yeah.
But with this, the client's got complete visibility. There's multiple forms of navigation. They can just move through.
So it's taking the concept of the walkthrough, which many of us are familiar with. It takes that sort of concept to the next level, doesn't it? I mean, and you mentioned the word control there, and I find that particularly interesting, because it means that anybody anywhere can view anywhere they want in the property, and they can see all the nooks and crannies, the good bits, the bad bits, the size. They get an idea of space, which I think you've mentioned as well. But it ultimately puts that viewer in control of their viewing, doesn't it?
That's right. And that's actually a good point about how we differ from video. With this media, the user is in complete control. So we've integrated multiple layers of content here. So it's not just the virtual walkthrough. You have RICS floor plan that's integrated, and as you said, if I'm interested in the master bedroom, I can just navigate straight to the master bedroom, and I see the feature that fulfills my requirement. So because I have complete control, I can answer my sort of shopping or my browsing questions much faster.
Yeah, so so that element of control is all there. And I mean, one of the reasons where I found out about you guys in the starting place is because of and I think this is an ingenious product from a B2C perspective, is this whole concept of an integration in with Facebook. And I wonder if you can just expand on that a little bit, because I thought that was a really exciting addition.
So we've actually just launched an integration where you can walk around the property, the same as the virtual walkthrough experience you've just seen, but it actually appears inside the newsfeed. So the way that YouTube appears in the newsfeed, our media actually appears in the newsfeed, and a client has complete freedom to walk around there. We've just actually done the first open house with a client called Sell My Home, which is a UK online estate agency. And they wanted to take the concept of an offline or a physical open house where an agent will do 10 viewings in one morning and move that online. So they used our media to replicate that offline experience. So multiple clients can jump in and walk around the property. And then we took that experience and put it inside Facebook to make it social. So anybody on Facebook, as soon as a property is launched live, it goes onto the newsfeed and they can jump in and do a virtual viewing.
Wow. So in theory, and I know you've mentioned this before to me, is that you have this concept of the physical open house, where there's a lot of agents around the UK now doing open houses every Sunday or whatever it might be. You've talked about before this virtual open house, and I suppose what you're now adding to is a social open house, which is you've got this virtual but social element to a virtual viewing.
Yeah, that's correct, because a lot of the residential buying experience is social. People like to share, you know, it's the biggest sort of asset purchase that any individual makes in their life. And it is a social experience. People want to share it with their parents. This is the property I'm looking at. This is the property I'm thinking about making an offer on. They also want to share it with interior designers, friends, to be able to get second opinions, reassurance, whatever it may be. So we took the whole experience, put it inside Facebook to make it social.
Mm. And I think one of the concepts that I come up with an awful lot now with the property viewing, the virtual viewing aspect, because I'm particularly keen in the sense of, one of the biggest things, and it doesn't matter if it's commercial or residential for that matter, is that viewings are a very time inefficient processes for clients as well as for vendors and or real estate agents, because the fact is they're a one-to-one approach. And what you've got here, what you're offering as part of your solution, is what I call a one-to-many viewing. So you've got one property which many people can view at exactly the same time. So that little bit of effort at the start breaks down this time inefficiency of viewing properties. And especially in the corporate real estate world, let's be brutally honest here, where people are looking at size and space and saying, let's have a look at where we're situated and let's have a look at the size of the rooms that we're in. And it means that, I mean, Christ, the amount of times I've seen it where you've got lorry loads of employees to look at a building and say, yeah, we really like this. Whereas what you're offering is an ability for people to perceive what that space is like in situ by doing it virtually, which I think should be applauded. And I think we're moving to that that area. I mean, am I way off here? This one-to-one, one-to-many approach in the physical property viewings?
No, I think you're on point actually, and thank you for the compliment about the products. We've seen so many user case scenarios on how the technology works. There's huge time cost savings. It's one of the key features with the media. In the commercial property world, we have one particular client called Hammerson, who specialise in shopping centres,
yeah.
And they've got their entire portfolio captured. So, and they're retail clients. Well, what it allows them to do is go for a coffee in the West End with an iPad and show a potential tenant, an incoming tenant, 5 units in 5 different shopping centres around the UK, whereas previously that would have involved the 2 agents getting in the car and driving around the UK for 5 days. Whereas with this, they can, they can identify the 2 that are important out of the 5, and they have to only physically go and see 2. So there's huge time cost saving there, as an example. Office leasing, we've also seen some amazing time cost savings, and this is more to your point about group viewings. Okay, an individual will go and view an office property that's available. They might have overseas board directors that need to sign off the purchase of a new lease or the purchase of a building. So with this media, there's even bigger both time but also financial to fly people in to look at the building. And then the next part of that is, how does the technology allow an agent to reach more customers in general? And that is this mass viewing technique. And we've seen a number of examples. Sell My Home did it particularly, where they launched a new property at a set time in social media, and everybody knew at 12 o'clock on Friday this property is being launched, and they all sat there waiting for it so that they could be the first ones to view it. So you get a rush of people looking at a new property. But even just the general day-to-day way that an estate agent does business, by putting this media on their website, essentially everybody looking at the property online is doing a first viewing. And then when they go to the property physically, it almost counts as a second viewing, because they've been able to see so much content.
Yeah, do you know what? You're perfect, because I absolutely agree. I mean, the amount of times as an estate agent myself many years ago, you always had 2 viewings to sell a house, if not 3. To lease a house, depending on the amount of sharers that were in the house, you had to have 2, 3, 4 viewings. It was totally inefficient. Yeah. Suddenly you're disrupting the viewing process, which for me becomes very exciting, because you're giving content to people that they want to see, and you're providing a service for yourself as well as a client, because you're just improving your service. I think it's fantastic. I absolutely do. I mean, the future of virtual viewings is very, very positive if it can be integrated within the sales and marketing process, and looking at the fact that it's just going to be very, very efficient for everybody to get involved with. So I applaud it. But look, let me be contentious for a second, because I have to be. Because as much as I like to laud about new technologies and innovation, I don't like looking at innovation for sort of just the sake of doing it. I suppose some people out there will be, well, it's like a panorama. They've been around for years and years, so why is this any different? What's the point? I mean, you must have a comeback to that, surely, which is you must be different in some way. So tell me.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the answer is, you're right. Panorama has been around for years. It's been around for around 18 or 19 years. And most of the public have seen it in some form or another. It's often very clunky, sometimes quite dated technology. My biggest criticism of Panorama was often you weren't able to tell the perspective of a room. You know, you couldn't even tell if the room was a square or a circle because of the distortion of the lens. And that's something that we prided ourselves on, which was making sure that people seeing our media, when they physically went to the property, said, that's exactly what I saw. It's not bigger, it's not smaller, it's exactly what I expected. And aligning that customer's expectation is also important, because, you know, you spoke previously about reducing the time cost of viewings. If the perspective is not correct, all that happens is every client that walks into the property goes, this is half the size I thought it was. Yeah. So we pride ourselves on making sure that the media is accurate. We also had to go much further than what's out there today. Traditionally, Panorama was sort of you had points you could go to, but there weren't many. The amount of coverage that we do is dramatically more, which gives the customer that complete freedom to navigate. We also spent a lot of time making sure everything loads in real time, so there's no loading wheels, because that's just frustrating to the user experience. So from a pure user point of view, we had to go above and beyond everything that was there today. And I said before, you know, we spent the first 3 years building the technology. That was what we were doing. We were making sure that when we launched what we have now, it was far superior to anything else that was out there.
Okay, so in terms of, I mean, let's talk costs for a second. I mean, is it prohibitively expensive? Is it going to be out of many commercial agents or residential agents' budgets? I mean, is this a top-end product, or is this an issue that maybe is comparing it to traditional panoramic views? I mean, is that going to be the hindrance, do you think?
I don't. We spent a long time making sure that the product was cost-effective. Okay, and we also are an end-to-end provider, so we aren't a replacement and we aren't an additional cost. Sorry, let me rephrase that. We aren't an additional cost, we are a replacement. So at the moment, most estate agents, by default, do photos and floor plans. we actually offer an end-to-end solution where you get the virtual walkthrough experience, you get unlimited HD photographs, you get a 2-scale floor plan, but you also get a YouTube video. And for all of that content, we're only fractionally more than what they're paying today. So they're getting a huge amount more data at a little bit more for cost, but not a huge amount.
Yeah, because you're an integrated end-to-end solution.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I get that totally. Well, look, okay, I mean, one of the things that I'm going to sort of finish on, because obviously I'm aware of the time constraints that we have here, and I don't want to sort of go on too much, is actually you take these photos, just because I know that if I don't mention it, people will wonder what on earth that is over your shoulder, which is one of the rigs that you're taking the photos on, I presume. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, that's correct. I've moved the screen a little bit, actually.
There you go, you've now added it on. Otherwise it looked like something from Star Wars.
So that's one of our capture kits. And how does it work, is your question. Essentially, photographer turns up to we work as a business, we're an end-to-end provider. The client calls us up and says, virtual walkthrough, we've got a new property you'd like us to capture. Within 48 hours, we go to the property to capture that property. Photographer turns up with a small wheelie bag, which this kit comes out of. They set everything up, it's controlled by an iPad, and they systematically move through the property, capturing all of the data. Once that's captured, it's synced to our cloud, where it's processed, and 72 hours later, the client within 72 hours, the client receives the finished product. And that's the walkthrough, the photos, the floor plan, and the video.
Brilliant. So that's, I mean, it's speedy as well. I mean, there's a big statistic out there at the moment where estate agents, especially estate agents in the resi world, clients are expecting them to actually get moving on marketing sooner than ever. And so certainly having that within 72 hours is going to be a massive plus point for them. But look, let me end that there, because I'm conscious of time for everyone watching this. So please do, if you want to find out more, I'm right in saying virtualwalkthrough.com. Is that correct, James?
That's correct, yeah.
So virtualwalkthrough.com, and incidentally, the homepage, the great big header on the front, is a totally interactive experience that you can go through. So it's well worth checking that out to actually have a look at how this all works. And there's all the contact details that you might need and the information that you'll need in there as well. So it only leaves me to say, James, thank you so much for joining me. It's been a pleasure talking it all through, so thank you. And for those of you who are watching, obviously do stay tuned to www.jamesdearsley.co.uk for all of the latest in the real estate technology and prop tech world that is going on out there. It's a very exciting place to be at the moment. So I hope you'll join me next time. Thanks so much.